89 Disney Channel original movies, but finally, there's one for us. A whole new pod, the podcast all about Disney Channel original movies. I'm waving my arms, I'm doing the YouTube hands, I'm Lucas Melby in the house.
And I'm Jacob Telejohn.
And we're talking a little movie, a very little movie. Almost hard to find, potentially, if you're a DCOM fan, called Radio Rebel. And we finally have, in 2012, the subject matter that the teens love,
podcasting. Yeah.
More radio, but it starts out as a podcast.
Like Lucas said, it's not on Disney Plus. This is one of the first movies in a long time where
I kind of thought we had gotten to the point where there wouldn't be anymore. Because probably one of the last ones would have been like the Jet Jackson movie.
Okay.
And some of that, I think, is maybe similar to this movie where Radio Rebel was co-production with some Canadian television network.
YTV.
Which seems weird that Disney would still be... like, in 2012, they were like... I guess maybe not the complete height of their power, but that's post, like, big Marvel... I think that's 2012 is when the first Avengers movie came out. Like, Disney's riding high. I feel like they would be trying to own anything they'd be putting any money into. Whereas the Jet Jackson, that was a little more early on in the Disney Channel days of original programming. Some of that also gets maybe tied up with the star of the Jet Jackson committing suicide, so maybe they don't want to put that as front and forward. But Radio Rebel, I fortunately seem to have been available in a number of spots. We watched it on Peacock, which I have.
It's also on Pluto,
Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
we got ads on Peacock, but I expertly was saying, let's watch it on Peacock, because I think we only might get one set of ads.
Yeah, we only had
right.
2 minutes of ads to start it off, and then we were good to go.
You know, Peacock, sometimes it's shit when I try to watch movies. I haven't had too many issues with it yet. I just have it to watch WWE premium live events, please. They're premium live events, not pay-per-views. Which is cheaper than the WWE network used to be, and sometimes they get, I think like Nope is on there. They got The Northman before. They get some good movies, and
very nice.
I think some of the movies they like shell out for, they don't even have ads on all the time. So.
What was that through?
Peacock.
Not
a great name, but...
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I have a...
I want to see your peacock.
I have
your peacock.
Kind of a kraken tendrils spreading out between too many streaming services. So
yes.
The last movie, the Jet Jackson, and probably it'd be interesting to see what the numbers do for us with Radio Rebel, because our second most popular downloaded episode ever is the Jenny Project. Which famously, for us at least, is also not on Disney Plus.
Wow.
Don't know why that is, but
that is
it is our second most downloaded episode after our first episode.
Weird.
Still don't fully understand why.
I mean, we would always make jokes about it and comments about it in the early episodes.
There was some episode where I really called it out, and
people are like, oh man, we gotta go listen to that
What
Jenny
is this
Project.
Jenny Project? I call this the Jacob Telejohn Project.
Wow.
The assignment this week is for Jacob to not have his phone on the recording table to vibrate throughout the whole episode.
I listened to the episode, and I only heard it like once or twice towards the end of the
I think I shouldn't say I think. I know I am too meticulous
when
editing the podcast.
Like here, I thought I was going to hear it the whole pod.
I was able to edit around some of it.
Job well done, Lucas,
I mean, some of it is just I cut out stuff we said because there was vibrations in the background. But that came up early in the episode, and I'm like, oh, well, that's one. He's probably... Oh, nope, it was the whole episode. It was there the whole time. Nearly 90 episodes we've done, and Jacob, just can't stay off his phone for the whole episode.
Addict, help. Me.
That's to relate to our Zoomer friends. Except Jacob isn't into, he's not, on TikTok constantly on his phone. He's just sports betting. So it's like dual addiction, phone and gambling. But my sole addiction is to misery, which is why we do this podcast.
Not the Stephen King book either.
Or the movie. But this movie, Radio Rebel.
Or Sweet Tea, as she's known in the book adaptation, Shrinking Violet.
Yeah, my understanding is this movie changes a lot from the book.
Yes. Her name is originally Teresa, and in this movie, our main character's name is Tara.
Radio Rebel.
Rebel.
Maybe you've heard of her. And we hear from her right away because we're listening into, I said a session because It apparently starts out main character Tara Adams.
Yes.
Last name not that important.
Played by Debbie Ryan. You might remember her from
my least favorite Disney Channel original movie, The Sweet Life on Deck movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Where she played somebody, I don't remember her name.
And she was the love interest of one of the brothers, right?
Yeah, I think.
I don't remember
which one's the bad one.
I don't remember. Cody's cool, right? And Dylan's the shitty one.
Well, Dylan is the real Sprouse's name, not Zach and Cody.
Oh, Cody cool? Dylan dumb.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I don't know.
Debbie Ryan, wife of Joshua Dunn, the drummer for 21 Pilots.
So it's interesting because was this Sweet Life? I think that was the first movie of 2011, or On Deck, and this is the second movie of 2012. So she's still, I guess, kicking around the Disney universe, but probably for not too much longer.
Yeah.
But she got her own starring role in this, playing the titular Radio Rebel. And as I was saying, this is a podcast to start, but she does it live, and she also plays music, like as a DJ during it.
Yes.
So it's really like not a podcast as far as the modern sense of it is. And I would even argue back then it would just be like people do online radio shows. You can just call them that. You don't need to call them a podcast.
Yeah, it didn't really feel like a podcast to me. I don't know.
Also, I feel like
it was more radio than a podcast.
So this movie is supposed to take place in Seattle. So she plays like some local bands and stuff. So maybe they're not as hounding for a copyright takedown.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's some touchy waters she's treading into.
Debbie's still doing movies though. She still does movies. She did that vampire movie Night Teeth. Like last year, she was in Horse Girl.
I think we covered all this on the Sweet Life.
We've talked about.
Beyond playing music, Radio Rebel also goes into some rants or monologues about high school, and she's always raging against the status quo. She kind of is talking about cliques, and we kind of see cuts to her school of people falling into like nerdy groups or definitely mean girls.
Yeah,
and we actually don't know she's Radio Rebel yet.
No.
If you went into this movie knowing nothing about it, you wouldn't know she was Radio Rebel because Tara's talking to her friend Audrey, who's like, Radio Rebel's so awesome. She's so inspirational. And Tara's like, yeah, I know. Tara in IRL, in real life, if you will, very shy.
Very shy.
Cripplingly shy.
Yeah, we see several, like later on, we see some prime examples of her quote-unquote shyness or maybe just social anxiety. I don't know what you want to...
And it's not just Audrey talking about Radio Rebel.
It's everybody.
Everybody loves Radio Rebel. And there is interest in who she is because she just says, I'm Radio Rebel. Doesn't give her real name unless she's Rebel Wilson or something.
Oh.
But then there's a duo of characters who this might be the only time I reference them, named Barry and Larry, who are I don't know, there's other comedic characters, but they're a real comedy duo where they're very focused on identifying who Radio Rebel is. And they're fun. It's all right. This movie overall, it's not as bad as a Sweet Life on Deck movie. It's not a good movie. And there's some stuff later on that, this movie's not great, but it's not terrible.
It's not a bad movie.
There's some pretty dumb stuff that happens later on.
Not a bad movie. There are a lot of dumb characters that I didn't like, though, like Stacy.
And that's kind of the enforcer of the status quo. Very much as we've seen in plenty of DCOMs, especially most recently in Geek Charming, she's falling into that mean girl role. But unlike Sarah Hyland, she doesn't have a secret sweet side.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't see her parents.
We don't see her
She
parents.
might have a dead mom or a dead dad, dead business dad or something. But she doesn't like Radio Rebel because she is thinking that, it's going to empower these losers to think they can talk to me. And that happens as Audrey is coming up to talk to her, and then Tara's there, but Tara's too
Larry
shy.
and Barry are like looking at her other friends, like, why are they looking at me? Tell these people to look away.
Tara's like, why can't I have fun like a normal person? But I'm just so shy.
And then Stacy's like, they were listening to the music, I think, and Stacy's talking about, I have so much power. She's
like, my mom, she's got it going on.
Oh, Stacy's mom. Good joke, Lucas.
Thank you.
But she's like, you want to see what kind of power I have? Principal Marino.
Like, you want to see me turn into a Super Saiyan?
Oh.
That's an old YouTube joke.
Yikes.
Sorry, I shouldn't talk over Jacob.
She calls over the Principal Marino, and she's like, oh, well, Tara and Audrey wanted to listen to music in class, so this...
No, she says, they want me to listen to this podcast.
Yes.
So they're saying podcast at the beginning of this movie. That's not just us throwing that out there.
No.
And Principal Marino is almost like Disney cartoon level of villain in this.
She's really bad.
She's very over the top.
Like goofy bad, but just annoying, not a good character. Like I think we've been introduced to Tara's parents maybe a little bit already at this point. And her parents are really goofy too.
We haven't met them yet, but Audrey has dropped that her new stepdad is a programming manager or something for Slam FM, one of the local radio stations, and that he should pick up Radio Rebel for the station. Enter Gabe and Gavin, who are members of the hot high school band, the G's.
4 G's.
We don't know. So, yeah, Gabe and Gavin, 2 G's. There are 2 other G's, but we don't know what their names are.
Never know their names.
Gabe is a douche. We don't get that so much now, but apparently their band is quite hot, and the minimal fame has been going to Gabe's head, and he starts dressing kind of like a lot of the kids at school, because a lot of kids at school wear fedoras in this movie. But he wears kind of what, I can't remember, Frenemies Murray dog guy. He wears a fedora and a scarf at one point, and that's what cool rockers do in Disney Channel movies, I guess. But
Larry and Barry are twins.
See, I told you I thought they were brothers.
I was trying to find out through the cast if it had the other G names for the band members, but they're not listed.
Jacob was thinking that Larry and Barry were gay for each other. And I said, no, I think they're brothers because they're named Larry and Barry, which doesn't mean anything unless you're working within the confines of Disney cartoons where it's like Huey, Dewey, and Louie and their friend Barry and Larry.
Yes.
Gavin, though, he's kind of the primary male character.
The hunky
love interest
of both. Of both.
Yeah, we get another kind of love triangle situation going on. But
Tara
Gavin,
and Stacy.
Interestingly, for just this moment right now, 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't have known who this guy was.
Oh,
but
yeah.
He is played by Adam DeMarco, who is in kind of the current season of White Lotus, where he plays Michael Imperioli's son and F. Murray Abraham's grandson. And he looks very much like he does currently, even though this movie was made 10 years ago. But he's the hot guy in the cool band. That's what my notes say, and that they're apparently playing prom, which does not come into play, actually. And Stacy also has the hots for him. Tara does as well, but if you didn't know, she's very shy. So they're in drama class together, but she can't talk to him. And then there starts to be a mini refrain that doesn't come up so much later on in the movie of what would Radio Rebel do? That's what Audrey tries to inspire her with, saying, what would Radio Rebel do? Or as we would just shorthand it, WWRRD. What would Radio Rebel do? Jacob is reading something apparently very interesting on his laptop.
Well, I did not realize that Stacy was into Gavin. Her interest in Gavin came about because she broke up with a long distance boyfriend. I didn't remember that whole little storyline.
Are you reading the book synopsis?
No, this is for the movie.
Is this one of those Wikipedia plot synopses where there's a note saying this is too detailed, you need to streamline this? That's not important. What is important is that, as I said, they're in drama class together.
Yes.
There's a very funny moment where the teacher asks for a scene suggestion.
And Audrey just gets up. She just gets up and just starts writing on the board, Hamlet eats.
She only gets to write Hamlet eats, and then she's interrupted by the teacher saying, I don't want to hear from you.
And she's like, we'll open up to the class. Anybody raise your hand? And then nobody raised, a lot of people raised their hand.
What was Hamlet eating, though?
A lot of people raised their hand, but the teacher calls on Tara, and she's doodling, not paying attention. So she's freaking out because
very cruel of the teacher to call.
Yeah, because she has social anxiety, whatever it all is. So she scurries up to the front of the class
and basically loses her mind from the
yeah. She tries to write on the board, but she just draws a weird line across because I don't know. And then she turns around, knocks somebody's book on the ground, smashes her head on a desk. It's a mess.
That's our Radio Rebel.
Yeah.
We finally meet then her Radio Stepdad, that's what my notes say, and Gross Weird Mom, where I thought it was very going to be like Disney Channel mom. She can't cook well, but she just is into weird like face masks. She's got looks like corn flakes on her face.
Yeah, like throughout the whole movie, she's always doing weird stuff with
she just seems
like
to be like a repressed, insane suburban mom.
Yeah,
something.
like moms always have goofy stuff. Even in Geek Charming, the mom had a big thing for trying different cooking things.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady just has different things of trying different...
I thought you were going to say, in Geek Charming, the mom had the quirk of being dead. But that was the other mom.
Yes. So yeah, the mom in there would make a lot of different food, but this mom, yes, does like the face stuff. At one point, she has like some weird stuff on her fingers. She talks about putting stuff on her toes that the stepdad's eating. Just a lot of different stuff like that.
She's ultimately not that important.
No.
Stepdad
Dad's
is,
a little
though,
more.
because he's got the connection, and he's talking to the mom being like, you hear this Radio Rebel? Everybody talking about Radio Rebel. She's so good. Oh, you should ask Tara about that to see if she thinks it's a good idea to sign.
So Rob goes up to the bedroom.
Yes, Rob. Thank you, Jacob.
Tara's stepfather goes up to the bedroom, and he's listening to the podcast,
which is live at that moment.
Yes, but it's during like a music. Yes, it's during the middle of a song,
and then it gets to a break after the song, and nothing's playing.
Nothing's being said. And he's like, "That's odd. The music just stopped." And Tara's kind of panicking because this is where we find out she's Radio Rebel, and she picks up her mic and just starts talking, and he's like, listening to her and listening, watching her, and he puts two and two together. He's freaking out.
And he goes, I can't believe it. You're so shy.
Yeah, hey, they say that a lot.
Audience, did you know she's shy?
It's said a lot. You're very shy. Not just by him.
So then he's just like, well, this is even better. Keeping it in the family.
Fucking more money, baby.
With a radio show.
You get your own show on Slam FM.
She's initially kind of like, I don't know, but then the next day she's in drama class and she learns that she's assigned to a group with Gavin and Stacy. So putting the love triangle all together right there.
Yes. So the way their group is set up too is her and Gavin are going to be the actor and actress in it. Well, Stacy is, I guess, the director, is going to direct them in their little skit thing or whatever, their scene they
that was at least our read on it. It's not entirely clear the dynamics there. Point of it, though, is obviously she's getting closer to Gavin.
Yes.
Gavin, comments on her band shirt saying, oh, I like that band, and they're doing some...
Stacy's getting pissed, like, this isn't time to talk about band.
It's some Shakespeare play, I think it's like The 12th Night or something, where they're going to be, in a romantic scene together. But it's not even like a school play, it's just a drama class scene that they're doing. But you know how that goes. And then it's time for her first Slam FM show.
Yeah.
But did you know she's shy?
She's very shy.
So she's like, I don't know if I can do this.
Well, she gets to the radio station and she's introduced, or she goes into the break room and meets,
DJ Carly Q.
Meets DJ Carly Q. DJ Carly Q. And
we make the best radio.
DJ Carly says,
another one.
I met you at some staff party or something. Like, she had met her before.
She's like, but you're Radio Rebel.
And you were so shy. I would never have thought you're so shy.
You are so shy.
So this is where Tara hides behind a refrigerator, and she's like muttering to herself, I'm just Tara. I can't get on the video.
Just Tara. But then they roll into the recording studio, and Tara gets really excited because of all the tech and stuff in there.
Yeah.
And then apparently it's just it's live for her first show.
Yeah, so DJ Cali Q, whatever, counts it down, and Tara's kind of starting to get in her pod mode, I guess. She shuts the shades so nobody can watch her because she likes nobody knowing that she's doing it. That's her whole thing. And even before
she was doing it in the studio, she had some program on her computer that modulated her voice.
Yes, that her friends Barry and Larry like to
audio analyze,
figure it out who it is. Yeah,
she's still using that here, but then she adds on some extra affectation where she starts kind of talking in a husky voice.
Oh, yeah, husky.
Hello, listeners out there. So she has the show. Goes well. There's some hilarious cuts through a number of her shows to her listeners. We're just seeing oh, here's random geek kid.
Brace, neck brace girl.
Yeah, Here's Stacy being annoyed. She listens to Radio Rebel, but she doesn't like it.
Boy with a remote control car.
Here's girl inexplicably with neck brace.
Yes. And we see all these characters. We see them later on in the movie. Her fans.
And I want to know what happened to get that girl in a neck brace.
Yes.
I think it's maybe the next day or a few days later, she eventually tells Audrey...
People to wear red.
Yeah, she tells everybody at school to wear red to show that we're all in this together, which is like...
We're all Republicans, don't vote blue, or ride the red wave.
Fighting down on cliques, but then when it's just remove individuality, everybody do stuff together.
Red.
It's a little interesting. At one point, she tells everybody to dance at 8 o'clock, and then everybody at school has a big dance.
I was a fan of that. That was fun.
I don't think that's happened yet.
No, I don't think so. But like you were getting to with her friend Audrey.
I think essentially is that Audrey's annoyed that she hasn't been able to hang out with Tara because Tara is doing that show 5 days a week. Yeah. So she just tells her, hey, I'm Radio Rebel. Yeah. And Audrey's like, I don't believe you. And then she shows her the recording studio and they transition to that.
First, she shows a recording studio at her home. She does something with like the mic at her house. I don't know why they didn't bring her to the actual studio. That was kind of weird.
And there's some fun slide transitions, but then there's also at least 2 page turn transitions.
Yeah, a lot of different transitions.
Which seems like an odd thing to include in a movie that's not about like books. Like in Read It or Weep, which is basically this movie in some ways. Read or Weep, page turn transitions all the time. Radio Rebel, though? More. I don't know. Do like a static thing or something. Whatever the case is, it's Quince. No.
It's Quince.
Now, at least one person knows that she's Radio Rebel besides her parents. She has a mini practice with Gavin and Stacy where it's a little more like, romantic tension. But the important thing is, after their practice, she discovers that Gavin has left behind a
demo for the G's.
A clearly labeled demo CD that she takes and she plays on a show. During that show, I think, is where she tells everybody to dance the next day at 8 a.m., which then happens, and Stacy is annoyed and doesn't want to dance until she sees that Gavin is about to dance with Tara.
And she goes ham. Like, she's dancing very crazy.
She's mashing the potatoes.
Yeah,
she's doing
I think
the
she
twist.
Is.
And then the principal is extra pissed.
Says they can't dance, I guess, on school grounds or during class, I guess is what it is.
And she puts out a threat that if this happens again...
Suspended or whatever.
If you're listening to Radio Rebel in school, you'll be suspended.
Yeah. Fucking Marino.
And Gavin asks Tara, because he's like, hey, I listened to the show. Did you give Radio Rebel the CD? He doesn't think that she's Radio Rebel. She just thinks she's like a fan.
Well, he's setting it up to like blame her, and she's kind of like worried, but she's just kind of like egging him to say more. He's like, it's you. You did it. You gave your father the demo to give to Radio Rebel or whatever it is.
She's like, I love Radio Rebel.
It's me. It's me. Haha, it's me.
And not just Gavin, all of Seattle seems to love Radio Rebel.
And they love the G's.
Which I thought was going to be a bigger deal, but it's really mostly just about her high school. Because kids love radio.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were a teen in 2012. I was still slightly a teen. We would have been.
Yeah, 19, 18, 19.
Not too long for our teenage years. No. But I loved radio so much.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
I mean, we're jamming a party rock anthem.
I was listening to podcasts in 2012. Still am. Living that caster lifestyle.
Oh, man.
But then she schedules with the radio station some kind of like lunchtime broadcast of Radio Rebel. But this one is clearly not live, and it's, I don't know,
it's hosted. Yeah. She has like audio recordings, but Cammy Q, the DJ Cammy Q shows up with like a van.
Yeah, and I think it's probably mostly to like cast dispersions about her being connected to Radio Rebel
school or whatever. Yeah.
But then there's a big dance party in front of the school.
Principal's still getting pissed, wants to see permits.
Very pissed, and she's like, I'm not on school property. I'm on city property, bitch. Yeah,
I want to see my permit.
I think this is maybe a cover by Debbie Ryan of...
Debbie Ryan does 2 songs, I believe, yeah.
No, that dee.
She does We Got the Beat and We Ended Right, are 2 songs in this movie. The G's have like 3 songs on the soundtrack.
I don't like the G's, but they do say... G's for life.
G's for life.
And then Gavin is upset with his... before that, the principal, since she's so mad, puts out like an extra threat and being like, if I find out who Radio Rebel is, she will be expelled.
Yeah.
Because previously she had
or
referenced...
or any students that knew any information were withholding any information. That if they were attached to her, they would also be gone.
Besides all this stuff happening at her school, stuff that Tara had said in the show previously hinted that she was a student at that high school. So that's why the principal is like, she's listening on the radio. She's like petting like a plaster cat to be creepy.
Oh,
she's doing a lot of weird, like, as I said, like villainous, sneaking around, goofy stuff like that. At one point, she's like stroking a girl's hair as she's...
That was very odd. I think that happened at the prom at the end.
Oh.
She's a very odd woman.
Jacob, not a fan.
More.
Yeah, I was like, was it prom? We'll get to that. So Gavin is upset with his friend in the band, Gabe, because he has the audacity to be like, hey, what if our music meant something?
Well, because Gabe starts wearing scarves, and he turns into a douchebag.
But he's like, hey, don't stop us in the middle of a song, which is like, I feel like something that happens in a lot of band practices. So
yeah.
Like, nope, this wasn't right. But he says, hey, our fans want a specific thing from us. So it's kind of like
which is very odd, though, because
yeah, how big are they?
Well, no, I'm kind of going more towards the route that like people that listen to the radio show are people that like want to be able to express themselves and be true to themselves, I guess, which is what Gavin's trying to...
I imagine this is another one of their like half-baked record industry critiques, like in the first Cheetah Girls movie, where it's just like, it's all about the corporations, but it's still like Disney probably...
The people that made them famous are these people that care about meaning and
Disney manufactures
messages.
These like fan-focused boy band groups all the time, but no, our music means nothing, and G's for life. So Gavin's like, okay, yeah, G's for life. So he's still okay with them right now. But how long will that last? Radio Rebel has been nominated for Prom Queen. What? That's crazy. Tara's obviously like, well, I can't, step out and like take the crown if I win because I'd be expelled. And Audrey's like, nah, everybody's too into you. That would never happen. But then it kind of goes the opposite of that, because then her stepdad finds out that she's been nominated. And he's like, hey, I'm canceling the show. I don't want you to get expelled. And then she's like, no, I have to do the show. So it's both like, she doesn't want her identity to be revealed at prom because she'd get expelled, but she wants to continue doing the show even though that would put her at risk of getting expelled.
Yeah.
G's for life.
G's for life.
The next show, she says, like, hey, I'm not going to reveal my identity. I would say, and I think I've said this before, as a podcaster and a podcast fan.
You don't want to reveal your identity.
I can relate to, hey, you can find out what me and Jacob look like on the internet, but don't.
Yeah, you'll be disappointed.
I've listened to podcasts and I'd be like, I like the sound of that person's voice, and I look up and I'm like,
yikes.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
They've got a voice for radio and a face for radio, if you know what I mean. Never meet your heroes, which I'm sure doesn't apply to us at all. We're nobody's heroes. If only we were Radio Rebel. We're closer to Geek Chic. Geekly Chic as far as... Radio Rebel does have a wider listener group.
Yeah.
We do.
She has like 20,000 at some point, we see.
No, I missed that. I just saw her have
more.
Like 4,000.
Yeah. Well, and then shows that keep counting. I don't know. I think it was at like almost like 30K at one point.
That's what the thermometer at school was.
Yeah.
It wasn't counting down to prom. It was counting up to
that
Radio
thermometer
Rebel.
countdown, I agree, was very odd.
World domination.
Yeah, so I mean, they're very close to prom day. It's coming up.
This show, she opens it up for listeners to call in, and she's like, tell me your greatest fear.
Yeah.
So then we get some funny answers. We don't hear from Neck Brace Girl, which I assume her greatest fear is breaking her neck, or whatever caused her to break her neck. But then Gavin calls in and says, hey, I'm afraid to be myself.
Yeah.
And Radio Rebel is just like, oh my god, it's Gavin.
One of the fun things, too, like every time she goes to the radio station, Slam FM, whether if she's by herself with her friend, whenever they try to get into the place, there's always Barry and Larry that are like camped outside, just trying to like they're just hiding in boxes, they're hiding in garbage cans, and they're trying to like find out who Radio Rebel is. So they always have to like do different disguises and stuff throughout this, whenever they go in, which is kind of a fun little thing that pops up here and there.
And another little fun recurring bit is that Stacy always comes up with wordplay names about Radio Rebel.
Yes, she does reuse some. So
she
I get
reuses one. So the first I remember is Radio Horrible. So horrible. Or just calling her a whore rebel. Radio Drivel, which he uses 2 times. And Radio Feeble.
Feeble. You got some fun ones in there. Way to go, Stacy.
After the show where she's defiant and says, I'm not going to reveal who I am, the principal says that prom is going to be canceled until Radio Rebel reveals her identity, which is tyrannical rule from this principal.
Everybody turns on her. Everybody flips on her. She has no more fans anymore.
Which I feel like...
Even Gavin hates her.
Well...
Kind of.
Maybe. I don't remember. But something I do remember, and that's something I've teased for a long time about telling, which I feel fits into this episode, is some of my escapades in high school of getting into trouble.
You were a troublemaker.
I didn't get into trouble often, but when I did something bad, it was fairly bad.
Solid Snake.
So yes, this is kind of a 2-part story. So part 1, I feel like I've mentioned it at some point, is that I worked on our school newspaper, which was an actual class. It wasn't like an extracurricular. It was a class where most of the time I tried to spend it playing Tetris on the computers. And
great game.
Facebook used to have Tetris friends on Facebook.
They got to bring that back.
It was so good. It was my preferred way to play. I prefer playing with a keyboard now. It's hard for me to play on other platforms, but whatever the case is, every April we would do an April Fool's Day issue where all of the articles would be joke ones.
Yeah.
They were funny. A lot of the newspaper was just being like inside jokes to the people in newspapers. So very relatable to a general audience. And this story I wrote, there's like too many layers to go into. Because it's connected to a different activity I did called Academic Decathlon, which I have mentioned on here. Very nerdy extracurricular. Watch Spider-Man Homecoming to learn more about what it actually is not, because it's not accurate in that movie. Basically, it's a nerdy thing. You read a bunch of material and you take tests competing against other kids on teams. One thing is that in this material, there was a picture of a guy named Willie Hennig, and I drew a picture of him to have...
with an eye patch.
An eye patch, so he looked like a pirate, referencing the Goonies pirate, One-Eyed Willie.
Yes.
And then I saw, with him having an eye patch like that, he kind of looks like Solid Snake in at least Metal Gear Solid like 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So then I added some other features to make him look like Solid Snake. So then I called him One-Eyed Willie Solid Snake. And I thought he was just the coolest, dumbest doodle I did. And I tried to like have it be on like our team shirt. Made it like my Facebook like profile picture and shit like that. So I was trying to push One-Eyed Willie Solid Snake as like a thing, even though like I was the only person who really knew about it.
So did you have no connection that you could be referring to a phallus?
So we'll get to that.
Oh, God.
So I wrote a story about how this doodle I did became like a celebrated work of art.
Yeah.
And I was also taking art history at school at the time. So I referenced some like other artworks. And I didn't directly reference it, but I said this picture made people float up into the air in ecstasy, which was a reference to a statue called like Saint Teresa in Ecstasy.
Yeah.
Which was, I don't know, like some nun who like got a little into Jesus or something.
Showed her titties or something?
No, she was just like floating up and, you know, maybe like... I still didn't necessarily like recognize like the sexual undertones of that.
Oh, my.
But like to show as serious as like I was trying this be, like I think this article ended with me being like as Lucas Melby. Like I didn't write it as Lucas Melby. I wrote it about Lucas Melby being like, I'm gonna go to the Bermuda Triangle because I think that's where we connect to Middle Earth, or just some dumb nerdy shit like that. And no, I mean Solid Snake, yeah, like I guess I could get that, but I wasn't aware that One-Eyed Willie, I think it's a fairly antiquated penis innuendo. But then the combination of One-Eyed Willie with Solid Snake to the principal at the time, it was just like, no. The connection of those things, it's no way that couldn't be a connection there. And what happened was they like recalled the newspaper.
Do you have an issue?
Yeah, I have that issue. There's some other issues that I wish I kept, but I can't find. But the thing is, like, so much of the school was gone at that time because there was like a big band trip. So it was like the impact of this story was even like lessened than it would have been on like any other newspaper. And like the principal.
I probably have that issue too. I don't know.
The principal was a huge dick, like Principal Marino, and try to like get my family to have to pay for the printing costs for like the whole paper.
That's awful.
And my dad was like, no, fuck off. Fast forward. So that would have been April. Yeah, that would have been like April of sophomore year then, I think. So then fall of junior year, we had a drama club activity called Madhouse, which was basically like a sketch show, Saturday Night Live, Mad TV wannabe thing. And it was one of like only 2 drama club things I was ever involved in, and you'll maybe see why.
Oh.
And I don't know if you have picked up on this in the show, but I like to think of myself as like a funny guy. And
he's a funny guy.
As self-proclaimed funny guys often seem to think, is they can do like stand-up comedy without really any experience or practice. So I had like a stand-up comedy, I think it was like, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes carved out where I was going to do stand-up comedy. And during like dress rehearsals, we had a teacher overseeing us. And I don't really want to have to do my whole spiel because I'm like, I got this down. It's cool. Let's have other time to practice the skits where more people are involved. So I just gave like a rundown of like, okay, I'm going to talk about this and then blah, 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 blah. And I talk about this. And other people in the group had heard it, like the student directors of the show had heard it. And like at least one of them was like kind of a goody two shoes where I thought if there was anything objectionable in what I was saying, they would be like, you can't say that. So technically, I didn't actually run it by the teacher in charge of the program.
Fuck him.
And whether I think the clear thing is, so this was a 2-night event, and I told all my friends to come on the second night because then we'd have things more sorted out. So I think that's the clearest example of whether I actually intended to get one over on the teachers, is if that was the case, I would have told everybody and their mother to come on the first night.
Yeah.
So I did perform. If you really want to do some YouTube diving, I gave like a performance to my friends because they didn't get to see it in one of our friends' basement like a month later. So
I don't think I've ever watched it.
Somewhere on YouTube is probably cringe-horrific and horrible.
Oh my.
But I had some jokes about like actual other students at school. So like they're like, oh, well, that's not cool. And then I specifically had like a joke where I was talking about like how hot Ariel is in The Little Mermaid. So there was like one, I think the delivery was something like, there was one day I was thinking I should get off my bed and watch The Little Mermaid. No. So I did that whole thing. Some people in the crowd loved it. Some people didn't. I think my godfather was there, and he
was cackling.
To this day, still just ate it up and thought it was the funniest thing ever. And then I go backstage, and the teacher director tracks me down and is furious, being like, she didn't, I think, swear, but she's like, what the hell was that? Like, you didn't tell me you were going to do any of this stuff. And the next day, go and talk to, I think it was actually the assistant principal, who, fun fact, was Sam's mom, friend of the show, Sam Blazing's mom. And I got in-school suspension, because that wouldn't go on my permanent record, because I was a very good student, but I just did bad stuff sometimes.
Wow.
And
I do it because it's fun. It's fun to do bad things.
And I wasn't allowed, of course, to be in the show at all the second day.
Bullshit.
So they filled in my stand-up time with somebody else, just doing, like, riffs. And then all of my other skits, somebody else had to sub in for. I still came in. I came with all my friends on the second night. Didn't need to pay, though. And that was the last time Madhouse was ever an activity, I believe, at our high school.
Wow.
It was canceled.
You ruined it.
Happened again.
King cancel culture right here, Lucas Melby.
Then fast forward to our senior year where I was elected class president, and I was supposed to give an address, just like a general speech.
And they said no.
Homecoming, and they tried to be like, no, you're not going to do that. And I like ended up going to Sam's mom, and I like cried, and not my greatest moment.
I won't say anything bad. I won't do anything inappropriate. Well, the thing is,
I like then eventually like my dad went and talked to them, and he was like not like a security guard, but like he had like a uniform from his job working at a state hospital that made him look like a sheriff's deputy or something. So he wore that when he came in to talk to the principal to like add some pressure. And eventually the principal did let me go, and I just had to like run my speech by him.
Yeah.
But then I thought back to like previous years, and like I'm like, actually, I think the people like basically gave the same speech every year. So it's like they probably had prepared material that they could have just given me. But
Yeah.
he was like still trying to like get one more over on me, be like, you'll have to write it and then I'll approve it. I'm like, okay, whatever. So then I did that, and I remember a teacher coming up to me and being like, oh, that was like, I'm so glad you did that. That was such a good speech. And like, I don't know. I almost dropped at least it looked like I almost dropped the homecoming queen crown when I was crowning the queen. And yeah, that's every like juicy high school story we've saved up till now. That's basically all I have.
You're the juice.
It was just tied together mini events. And the thing is of why I got like, they thought like, oh, you definitely didn't try to like, I'm trying to remember if like the newspaper, I'm almost positive the newspaper story, actually, I think the newspaper story was second. And that's why they're like, no, you had to have known about this because you did this whole bullshit with the stand-up.
Gotcha.
So then they're like, okay, yeah, One-Eyed Willie Solid Snake, nice try. You're not getting that past us. We know what you're at. And the principal, I remember he said that these were jokes that you would tell at a CD bar. And he meant like CD as in like gross and like, but I was like, what is a CD? Like a compact disc bar. And I was just like, what? And then we made like a film festival video like our senior year too. And like we had to like edit out parts of that because like the principal like misheard something.
You're just a naughty boy.
Because he's like, why did you say that you had a rainbow key? I'm like, because I do have a rainbow key. I can show it to you.
Is that a gay joke?
Yeah, he thought it was like, I mean, kind of probably meant it in some way as like a veiled, edgy gay joke because it was 2011 and we were crappy kids or whatever. Yeah, so there we go. I've teased it for probably like 60 episodes, but there's my horrible high school escapades that I've thrown in this episode because we're recording it early, so I've got more time to edit.
You've got more time.
I'm not worried about having a tight 60 or whatever.
So I don't have any fun stories like that.
No, Jacob was like on the periphery being like, hey, you want to make a film festival video with me? I'm like, nope. I've got the ideas.
Shit
don't
all
need
over
you.
me.
I think I told that on a different episode.
He's too good for me. And he still is.
I was going to say I'm the ideas man, but I mean, I've had ideas, and those ideas have all ran up, and that's why I haven't made a YouTube video in a very long time, because it'd be like, I got a really good idea, and I'd be like, oh, no, I don't got any. Use them all up.
It's gone.
But this is our creative output.
Oh, yeah.
So, Radio Rebel.
Radio Gaga.
Radio Goo Goo. So yes, that is the principal basically saying prom is canceled.
Yes.
Because of Radio Rebel refusing to reveal her identity.
And like I said, this is where the students are all mad. So they all call in to blame her, basically.
There's call-ins, and also Stacy has riled up a mob outside of the radio station with signs to be like, fucking expose yourself, Radio Rebel.
They're upset.
Which doesn't fully make sense, because so many of the listeners that we've seen seem to be kind of nerdy, disaffected, kind of on the outsides of the social circle.
I also found it very odd. These wouldn't be people that would be mad at her.
Because going back to high school...
Because these people wouldn't care about prom.
Yeah, going back to high school, Jacob and me, we didn't go to prom.
No.
Ever.
The people that were listening to her pod or whatever radio show would not have been mad that prom was canceled. They wouldn't have been.
But some of them were like, I just got a date, and now I'm pissed because I can't go. So like some of it, they kind of worked it in, but others just like, you're the nerdy RC car kid. Come on. You weren't going to prom.
Yeah.
And in middle school, we would go to dances and be like nerdy kids outside and not dance or dance ironically. But high school dances, those things got a little too raw for me. I couldn't goof off there.
So you were talking about the mob outside. This is another scene where we get to see her escape from the mob outside, where she uses the costume... Or she uses the guy that's dressed up as a sandwich as like a distraction.
Which I swore I read a review somewhere that I thought the sandwich was going to be revealed to be somebody, but it didn't. I was like waiting for the other shoe to drop. But yeah, it's just a funny sandwich, sign spinner,
break
guy,
dancing, whatever
and they
it is.
Call him over to use as like a distraction.
So that was fun.
Some goofy stuff to move in and out. So then the radio station, or Tara mostly, gets their own idea to make people happy. I'm not going to reveal my identity, but why don't we just have our own prom? But we'll make it kind of upside down prom, which technically it's backwards, which is
backwards prom.
Where she gets the inspiration is that what's prom backwards? It's morp. And then she somehow hijacks
Morp and Mindy.
The intercom system
in
at
the school. And we see the principal go into like the recording office and, try to sneak up and catch it. But she She opens the door and the broadcast stops. Then she shuts it and it starts playing again.
Yes.
And she kind of peeks in there and there's nobody there. It's different. It's odd.
And I also... It makes sense why it wasn't this. But for some reason, just hearing the name Radio Rebel, I thought it was going to be about like a girl on a pirate radio station, which made me think of the British show People Just Do Nothing, which is about a pirate radio station with MC Grind.
Love that show.
G. But nope, it's a fully licensed...
Bang, lyrical blow to the jaw. Bang, lyrical blow to the jaw. Killing MCs down on the floor. Shenanigans with emergency. Beats and grind to kill the MC.
Okay.
Sorry.
Fully FCC compliant, this radio station with Radio Rebel. So Stacy says some, like, detective shit where originally they were trying to practice for their play thing, and she's like, oh, let's do it at 7 tomorrow night. But then Tara couldn't go.
I have family dinner every Wednesday or whatever
it is. Really because that's the recording time for Radio Rebel. So then Stacy just goes to the mom... or Tara's house, talks to her mom, and Winston being like, oh, do you got family dinner tonight?
What is
She's
that?
Like, no, what are you talking about? So Tara's like, or Stacy's like, she must be Radio Rebel.
Yes.
But she's still not fully convinced, so she's like...
No, she doesn't have the proof yet.
Yeah, I don't got proof, but I'm pretty sure you're Radio Rebel, and I'm going to have a party tonight.
And if you're not 7. There, you are her.
So she throws this party, and...
This is kind of... There's a fun scene here coming up.
Because she's looking at everybody coming in, being like, oh, is Tara here yet? Oh, actually, Tara is here. How, though? And then we see Neck Brace Girl show up. Yeah. And Stacy's like, who the fuck are you? I don't know who you are.
I'm your partner in science class.
I've known you since the first grade. I didn't ask for your life story.
Welcome to the party.
Or have a good party.
Welcome to the party.
And then Radio Rebel goes live. And I was just like, well, they could just... She didn't always take calls. This could just be a pre-recorded show. But no, they have it set up where Stacy actually calls in and
she's getting responses back from Tara.
Tara's mom,
Delilah, and DJ Cammy Q.
Chabuddy G. They have a soundboard of, classic radio stuff.
So they're doing pretty good at it, with like the responses. Like they're flipping through cards. Like I don't know, they must have like 40 different sound pieces that they can clip from. And they're like struggling, and then they start to fuck up, and they're like, welcome to the call again.
Then... bunch of shenanigans.
This whole time you see Stacy
calling in.
Yeah, Stacy's calling in.
And the whole party is listening to the show and her calling in.
We see Tara still sitting on the couch at the beginning of the call, but when they start screwing up like the answers, Tara has to run off to the bathroom to actually call in to be to actually physically talk to Stacy.
And we get this whole, like, Scooby-Doo thing where somebody's coming into the bathroom and...
You hear them on the phone.
And then she's like, are you in this house? And then she's running up the stairs while Tara's sneaking around the back. And then she's into, like, the coat closet. And some guy comes and asks for his coat. So just all this stuff.
Love this.
And
she eventually ends up in her bedroom.
Yeah, ultimately, Tara doesn't actually get caught on the phone, but she gets caught in her bedroom where we get some, like...
Stacy's like, what the fuck? I thought this was going to be like a character reveal for Stacy, like why she's such like a twat.
It kind of is, but it's like, nah, I'm not doing this movie. Where she sees pictures of Stacy as a kid.
And she's like, remember how much I was picked on as a child? I was bullied.
One of them is her wearing a tiara.
As a child, very young.
And Tara said, I remember that you dressed like that every day in second grade.
Everybody used to pick on me.
They did? I don't remember that.
Which I was like, that'd be cringy as hell if she wore that every day.
Yeah.
And I guess that she's always wanted to be a princess, and then because people made fun of her, she became a mean girl or something. And I'm like, meh. They do still try to redeem Stacy, but it's like, nah, not this time, Disney Channel.
She's a bad person who's 26.
And Gavin's band is at this party playing, and afterwards he's kind of warming up to Tara some more, but then Gabe is like, hey, we got to pack up our stuff. So put that on hold. And then the final proof that Stacy needed is she just has her friend dressed up as a pizza girl.
Yeah, Kim goes and she's on roller skates,
pretending to be delivering a pizza to Radio Rebel, and she just sneaks into the radio station.
And she sees Cammy and the mom there.
Yeah, she records them talking about how they were faking the Radio Rebel show.
That was rough. We almost didn't make it. Thank God thank God Tara called in to save us.
If it was going to be that easy, why didn't they just have somebody sneak into the radio station at any fucking time? It was always like Barry and Larry outside of the radio station, and it's like this.
Well,
shouldn't
then
have
the
been
movie
like
would have
that
been over.
foolproof.
The movie would have been over so much sooner, Lucas.
I think the idea is that it was late at night and there was a crappy security guard who was just like, "Oh, you're obviously a pizza delivery person," but it's stupid. So then Stacy has the proof that she's Radio Rebel. So then she just goes into full bitch mode where she locks Tara in a janitor's closet so she can't perform with Gavin. So then Gavin performs with Stacy and then they kiss. But Tara gets out of the janitor's closet right at the time for her to run up onto the stage to see them kiss. And then Gavin sees her and he's mad at her. And I'm just like, oh my. This is the late game part of the movie where I'm just like, hey, this movie wasn't great up till now, but now you're making me a lot more annoyed watching this movie.
I don't think does she ever kiss him?
She does.
Okay, at the end, I don't remember.
Technically, I didn't see it because I was taking notes, but I'm pretty sure I heard it.
Oh.
You can ask Jacob why he didn't see it.
I gave up on the movie towards the end here, too.
So, Stacy fully reveals that she knows that Tara is Rebel, and Tara's just like, why are you doing this? She's like, because I want to be Morp Queen.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, well, just let her be Morp Queen then.
Yeah.
Like, this shouldn't be that complicated.
But she's like, well, I can't give up my identity because that would mean, I get expelled.
Well, yeah, just rig the fucking vote. It's run by the radio station.
See, and then she does something. She says something to her mom or dad that she doesn't care if she gets expelled. I don't care if people know, right? Doesn't she say something like that?
That sounds like something that probably happened in this movie.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, we're so proud of you. We don't... remember we joked about her mom, like, not caring if she got expelled? We don't care.
Well, that was when prom was still on.
Yeah, that's right.
Her mom's like, I heard you were not... Radio Rebel is nominated for prom. You should go. But Mom, I get expelled. But it's prom.
We want the money.
But now it's Morp, and it's Morpin' time.
It's Morpin'
because
time.
it's the night of the big dance. And Morp King goes to Gabe because Gavin... he pulled himself from the nominations, and there was only 2.
So he pulls himself from the nominations because he finds out the shitty thing that Stacy did.
Yes.
He finds out that Stacy locked her in a closet, and he said, I even have eyewitness. And then they show the janitor, which is fun. And he's like, I never wanted to be king. And then we see Stacy all sad, and she's... I don't know, like you said, they tried to make us feel sorry for her earlier, but now here she's being shitty again. Are we supposed to feel bad for her that she's crying? I don't know.
Yeah, so before they read off the nominations for Queen, Audrey, who we have not talked about in quite some time. Audrey and Tara are like, oh, what should we do? They're in the basement of the radio station. And then they see from afar Stacy in the basement of the radio station, prepping herself, being like, you're the queen, you're great, you're going to do great. And it's like, she's a bitch. Like, come on, Disney Channel.
We don't like her.
But then there's also only 2 nominations for Morp Queen. But who is Radio Rebel going to take the stage? They announce her name, and... everybody's cheering, and they're like, yeah, awesome. And then they just like cheer for like 30 seconds, and they're like, where's Radio Rebel?
Then we see like a silhouette behind like a glass wall or something.
I think first we thought it was a pre-recorded
because her
message.
stepdad presses the button and then it starts talking.
Yeah, but I guess it's just to make the mic go live, maybe?
Sure.
And then we see her walking behind like some glass, and then she comes out and she's like,
it's her.
I'm Radio Rebel. And I don't think anybody says who, but I really wish somebody was like,
who are you?
Do you even go to our school?
You because even go here?
She is the super shy girl, so nobody really should
would know
who she is.
Then everybody starts applauding.
And she wins.
Yeah.
And
then the principal comes out.
Yep, principal in parentheses
and starts clapping her
great
hands.
Villain.
Starts clapping her hands. Oh, we now know.
We don't need the claps.
Sorry. We now know who Radio Rebel is. You're suspended. Don't even bother showing up to...
No, she's expelled.
Expelled, yes.
She says, don't worry about coming to school on Monday.
Then people in the crowd, her friend Audrey, I'm Radio Rebel.
Yeah, she's not Radio Rebel. I'm Radio Rebel.
Gavin says, I'm Radio Rebel.
And everybody starts saying, I'm Radio
Rebel. I'm Radio Rebel. I'm Radio Rebel.
Of course, referencing the end of Spartacus.
There you go.
An equally good movie.
There was another reference to, you said Hot Fuzz earlier in the movie?
As I said, I don't think there's a
reference.
There's
a reference here now to like the Breakfast Club.
Of Timothy Dalton smiling in front of his
Whoever directed this movie clearly loves film and cinema.
Sure. Radio Rebel.
Radio Rebel. Radio Gaga. Radio.
So I think Tara goes up and gives us she's like, we all are Radio Rebel.
Yeah.
And then she's like, hey, Stacy, are you a Radio Rebel? Who Stacy this entire time has hated Radio Rebel. And it feels like she is such a bitch, but this still feels like a really weird moment for Tara to be like, come on. And she's like, I'm Radio Rebel. It's like, all right, now you get the crown.
So I don't know. So I'm trying to think how they presented it. That she's only saying it just so she gets a crown, or do you think this whole time she related to Radio Rebel? Because I mean,
it's 100% supposed to be a positive thing, but it comes off
because we see her always listening to it. She's always listening to it.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I deep down, she really likes the broadcast and she relates to Radio Rebel.
That could be a read on it that's more positive than me being like, the power dynamics have shifted. Fuck you, Stacy.
Say it. Say it. Say my name.
Yeah, you're goddamn right, you're Radio Rebel. Then Gavin.
So Stacy S becomes a supporter.
She becomes the Morp Queen. Gavin takes the stage and he plays a solo song. It's an acoustic song, basically for Tara. Then they meet up in the crowd afterwards. I don't know if they're quite dancing.
He kisses her on the cheek.
Well, before that.
No mouth action. Stacy got the mouth action, not Tara, though.
Well, that was for a play. It was a very quick peck on the lips.
And he showed no emotion during it. He was very stiff.
Well, I don't think it was rehearsed that they were supposed to kiss at all, so I think I caught him off guard.
Yeah.
So then he says, should I call you Tara or Radio Rebel? And she says, doesn't matter. They're both me. And I'm like,
wow.
No, it's not a read it and weep situation where it's like, I'm split personality crazy. It's just like, hey man, whatever gets you off, right?
Whatever gets you off.
Tara on the streets, Radio Rebel in the sheets.
Oh no. And the pod.
And scene. All right, that was Radio Rebel. Ultimately, I think this movie is kind of, for whatever reason, maybe it's just not enough as many people have seen it because it probably has. I don't know if it like re-aired on Disney Channel too much. If it was weirder for rights, but it's fine. I think we talked about it in Geek Charming where we hadn't had like super cliche, tropey high school movie really too much for Disney Channel, and now it's like, okay, we got another one with this weird, fake identity shit, like kind of like a superhero movie kind of thing. There's some dumb stuff in here. There's some fun stuff in here. Middle of the pack kind of thing.
Yeah,
as Jacob say, it's like it's a top like 600 out of 1,000 movie.
It's like a 400, you know, batting 400.
I think that's what you said about Frenemies too. So is it like tied for 400? 4 stars.
It's an okay movie. It's not like one of those movies like. There are movies that we get where they're just like, that was just like a waste of time, or that was just like dumb. I don't know. Like this was an okay movie. It's better than
Frenemies.
The way I kind of grade movies now is if I fall asleep during them or not. I didn't fall asleep during this movie.
Well, you've probably fallen asleep in other ones, but the most recent one you fell asleep in was the Phineas and Ferb movie, which I don't know if you want to be like, that's worse than all of these other movies. Because honestly, that one was shorter than most movies, so you shouldn't have fallen asleep.
Just a sleepy boy. The movie was fine.
I'm getting a little sleepy, so
we'll
move into first. Never remember. Could Radio Rebel have stopped 9/11? I would argue no. In fact, I think late in her... Actually, she could still do late in her career, post 2012. Just go into full like conspiracy theorist, conservative right-wing talk show host, being like, yes, jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
Yes.
Follow the money, sheeple. Wake up. I told you to all wear red. Now I'm telling you to storm the Capitol.
Too far.
I don't know. Do you think you got anything to say on that, Jacob?
Too far.
All right. With that...
No, I do not think she could have stopped the 9/11. There's nothing magical about her, okay?
They'd have been like, Tara, you got an opening, go. And she'd be like, well, I'm too shy. You really want me to attack a terrorist? Oh my God, I'm going to hide behind this seat
as the plane crashes.
I'm so embarrassed, I'm going to die. No, you actually are going to die, Tara.
Oh, we're bad people.
All right. Well, if you want to write us in and tell us how bad we are. Yeah. Oh, you're so bad, so Jacob Telejohn.
You're a bad boy.
You can call me Jacob Telejohn or Lucas Melvin. That one long ago comment from that conspiracy person is like, we're the same person.
We're the same person, man.
That is, the email address is awholenewpod@gmail.com.
AWNpod on Twitter.
Hit us up on there. Like the tweets, as long as you're not like a porn bot. We
accept those. Likes and followers.
Yeah, we're all about numbers.
We should have got verified because you can't do it anymore. I don't think.
I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Because like people were like pretending to be like President Bush.
Well, yeah, but even within like the last like day, it was like you can do it, you can't do it, you can do it. And we're recording this at least like a week ahead of when we normally record this. So Twitter might not even exist a week from now.
You think
but if
so?
it does, I don't know. It's probably not going to disappear immediately, but Elon is already talking about bankruptcy potentially, which I don't know how that really works out. But until it shuts off, AWN Pod, follow us on there. Find us on the different podcast platforms, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google. Rate and review us on wherever you can. Find us on youtube.com/awholenewpod. Like, comment, subscribe to our videos there. That's a lot of stuff. I think that might be it. We don't got any pop.
No pop today.
No pop.
Maybe next time. Maybe there'll be like a Christmas flavor or something.
I mean,
goofy.
we did. It's kind of maybe the start of the inspiration, or at least the direction of Mountain Dew flavors, where last Christmas they had that weird gingerbread flavored one.
Was that our first one?
We didn't do it on the show.
Oh.
We drank that at Sam's house on New Year's, I think. So, I don't know. It would be kind of unfair to re-taste test, but it's not a great soda. And this is not a great podcast. So, with that,
well,
I've only got one thing I can think to say, which is, I'm Radio Rebel.
I'm Radio Rebel.
No, I'm Radio Rebel.
Radio Rebel.
Frenemies!
There are 351 municipalities in Massachusetts and 1,073 Dunkin' locations. Billerica has 3 on Boston Road, but further down 495, the town of Stowe is a Dunkin' desert.
There is no more Dunkin' Donuts in Stowe.
Absolutely none.
Those bastards.
Up until this year, they had 2. Now they're both closed. Neighbors are handling it like you might expect.
Yeah, it sucks. There's nothing fun to do, and Dunkin' Donuts was the one place where everyone likes to go.
Bummed out.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Why?
because I've been traveling further away to go to Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How far do you have to travel now?
Over a mile and a half.
That's ridiculous.
These days, you got to go around to Hudson, you got to go to Sudbury, got to leave the state. I mean, not the state. You got to leave Stowe, though. Yeah. It's terrible.
Some are finding refuge at the 2 Dunks in Maynard, much to the dismay of Maynardians like Michael.
Especially if people are coming from Stowe, they're going to come through here on their way to work, and then I get held up for work.
But back in Stowe, a town with an airport, 3 golf courses, and some horses, they just want solutions.
Don't live in Stowe anymore.
You think it's worth moving out because there's no Dunks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sad. Sad for the people of Stowe. Oh.